I had to take Larry's.
Never. Yes, that
It's very, very interesting project. Okay.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
How's your dad?
Good. He was here for a little bit. He
Oh, I didn't
decided
see
he
him.
couldn't.
I see him riding his bike once.
Yeah, he couldn't sit this out here, so he left. But
Well, that's
deferred the.
He gave you the responsibility.
Yeah.
You did good.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Waukesha Town Board meeting for May 12, 2016, beginning at 9:26 p.m. Yeah, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Supervisor Durr? Here. Supervisor Fisher?
Here.
Chairman Merrick?
Here.
Supervisor Radke?
Here.
Supervisor Wolf?
Here. And Madam Clerk, have we met the opens meeting law?
Yes, we have.
And we'll open it up to citizens' comments. Going once. Going twice. Then we'll move on to approval of the minutes from April 14th and April 28th. If there's no objection, we can take them both at the same time. All right, we'll take them separately. We'll start on A, April 14th, 2016. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from April 14th, 2016.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So on the motion for page 3 of 5, Supervisor Durr moved to approve ordinance 2016-02 to require the town board to complete annual performance review, seconded by Supervisor Wolf. Motion carried 3-2, Radke Fisher. Why is that identified by name and no other is?
I guess I'll answer. Well, go ahead if you answer.
This was requested at the last board meeting to make this change.
And I would simply add is because it's required by our town ordinance to record the ayes and nays. I would personally prefer that would say Radke and Fisher voted nay. Maybe that's implied, but I think that would be clearer.
So as I understand our ordinance, which would be section 2.3-13, conduct of deliberations. A roll call shall not be necessary on any question or motion, except as follows. When the ayes and nays are requested by a member, number one. Number two, on confirmation or on adoption of any measure, assessing or levying taxes, appropriations, or dispersing money, or creating any liability or charge against the town, or any fund thereof. And number three, when requested by state statutes of Wisconsin. And then B, all ayes and nay votes shall be recorded in the official minutes. So if we're going to record the ayes and nays, it lays out specifically what calls for a roll call vote. I think we can record the ayes and nays without calling for a roll call vote, and I don't recall anybody calling for a roll call vote on that item.
I guess I'll respond this way. I, for the life of me, don't know why you object to having the official minutes of the town of Waukesha shall reflect how people vote on a matter. If you read the section, it says that any member of the board can call for the ayes and nays on any vote. If you want to do it this way going forward, anytime there's other than a unanimous vote, I'm going to ask the chairman to call for the ayes and nays, and we can do that and have them so recorded,
And
if
that
that's what you would like.
it's not what I would like, if it's your prerogative to do so, if you would like. I'm
If-
not the one
If
making.
that's the only way to get votes recorded, so anybody who looks at it knows how they voted on the matter, that's when I ask, Mr. Chairman, that's my standing request, if people want to do it that way. Every time we get to a split vote, because I don't think it's appropriate here not reflect how people vote on issues.
Are you asking for a roll call vote at each time?
If that's what is necessary to indicate who voted aye and who voted nay, if we don't have a unanimous vote, yes, I am. I think it could be made simpler.
But you'd have to ask for a roll call vote in
Well,
prior to.
Well, then I'll ask it for every time, Mr. Chairman.
we don't just get to choose to make things simpler. We follow the ordinance, and the ordinance calls for the ayes and the nays to be recorded, but it doesn't say any. To me, the difference between A and B, section 2.3-13, A and B, the difference between the two is that one is a roll call vote, which any member has the opportunity to request. And B is that the ayes and nays shall be recorded in the official minutes. That means 3-2. So if we're going to identify by name, which I'm fine with, then we just call for a roll call vote on every vote.
Works for me.
Okay, but we just don't get to make things simple because we feel like it.
I guess I'd ask Mr. Macy to take a look at that and weigh in and help us out, please. Okay, my issue is I can't for the life of me imagine why any member of this board would not be interested in having the minutes reflect how people voted on issues.
I have no objection to having a roll call vote. None.
But that's fine. That's A. How is everyone reading B? Because I'm concerned that reading B is not being consistent.
Well, to
B
me,
is a standalone black letter rule.
it is, and here's how I would read B. For instance, on the motion that we're discussing here from the day in question, to me, B would be if it said motion carried 3-2.
Agreed, because it doesn't say that it doesn't say to identify who, it just
Right.
says record the A's and A's.
And that's to me the difference between A and B. A records the name and it's called a roll call vote.
In order.
I think that's an absolute stretch.
Stretch or not, you can look at it any way you want. But then if that's not it, then tell me the difference between A and B. If B is to write the names down, how is that different than a roll call vote?
Takes less time, probably.
How so?
Kathy doesn't have the roll call vote. If she hears and understands how people voted on it, she can record it. If you
We're
want to
gonna
do
record
everyone,
names,
if
we
you
should
want to
make
do
sure.
everyone with a roll call vote,
So
fine.
be it.
You're missing
No,
the
we
whole
don't
issue.
wanna do
Why are
that.
members of this board not entitled to have the minutes reflect how they voted on an issue?
That is not the issue. The issue is the ordinance.
In the,
Wait, at first I'm gonna tell you on the parliamentary procedure, and I didn't know we were gonna get into this tonight, and maybe we should set this over to a work session or something. There's a huge difference between a roll call vote and just a vote. Because a roll call vote, you can sense the body and you can decide how you're gonna vote by how the other people voted. There's a huge difference in parliamentary procedure between a roll call vote and just a voice vote.
I would concur.
Okay. And so that doesn't answer the question of what was the purpose of B. All A and nay votes shall be recorded in the official minutes. And I guess, we might have to place this on the agenda if we want to resolve it and ask the board members how they interpret that section. Because I'm not sure that we have an agreement. It's not.
I would say
and
we
don't-
clearly don't have an agreement. That I think we can agree on.
And that's fine, but the majority would then rule on how to interpret it, or
Yeah.
I would rewrite it to make it clear.
I'll vote aye that we're not in agreement, and please record it.
I would ask that this matter be placed on an upcoming agenda when I'm here, so we can see if we can agree on what it says, and if we can't, we're gonna rewrite it to make sure it's clear. You know my rule, it's not a legal rule that if two people read an ordinance and they read it differently, then we don't have a well-drafted ordinance.
So you got a motion and a second on the minutes. Can we vote on that and be done with it? Or does it have to be unanimous?
no, it does not have to be.
Okay, then let's vote.
So,
Come on, it's 9:30 at night. Cut it out.
all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Minutes, April 28th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from April 28th.
Second.
Any discussion?
So I would just like to point out that on the sole purchase for 2016, 2017, the motion was by Supervisor Radke, move to approve the purchase of 1,000 tons of salt through the county for the 2016, 2017 winter season. Second by Supervisor Fisher, motion carried 4-1. Okay.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to reports. Fire Department, Chief.
One summary for April is 26 ambulance requests, 6 motor vehicle accidents, 9 fire responses. Mutual aid was given 6 times and received mutual aid 7 times. We had 1 member who left the department in April. 1 new member started in April. We're at 34 active members. 5 members are on leave of absence, secretary, treasurer, and 2 high school cadets. Fire prevention program was held at Rosegan School for during their chicken barbecue week. And fire inspections are continuing for the first 6-month period of the year.
Any questions for the chief? And I see our sheriff's deputy has, thank you, chief. I see the sheriff's deputy has gone. DPW Supervisor Durr.
I thought Jerry had filed something, did he not? Oh, it was, okay. So there you go, it's right next to the sheriff's report in the packet.
Perfect. And clerk treasurer.
No report.
Thank you. On to 7, new business, discussion and possible action on condominium plat and declaration of condominium document. This was a recommendation from the Plan Commission. Is there a motion? I'm sorry. Purpose, multi-sport training center. The responsible party is Thomas Kelnick, South 52, West 24082 Glendale Road. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission?
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. On to B, rezone ordinance. Purpose is a multi-sport training center. Responsible party is Thomas Kelnick, South 52, West 24082 Glendale Road. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission?
Also move.
Second.
I need a roll call vote. I'm asking for the roll call vote. A protest petition has been filed. I need to record the vote.
Please, that's fine.
Supervisor Durr?
Aye.
Supervisor Fisher,
Aye.
Chairman Merrick,
Aye.
Supervisor Radke,
Aye.
and Supervisor Wolf.
Aye.
Motion carries. On to C, site plan of operation. The purpose is a multi-sport training center. Responsible party is Thomas Kelnick. Location South 52, West 24082 Glendale Road. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation from the Plan Commission with all its conditions?
Also move.
And a second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
So this is with all the stipulations that were mentioned at the Plan Commission.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to D was an accessory building. The petitioner asked that this be postponed. And so we'll move on to 8, current business. Discussion and possible action on the following. This replacement of the windows in the town hall, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, and it was tabled over till today. The question was, where were the funds coming from? It came out of the capital budget. We took it out of the capital budget, and we're going to pay for it through maintenance in the town hall.
Yeah,
DPW.
I mean, it's in the town hall.
DPW, mate, sorry. Yeah, how would you like to proceed? Are we ready to move forward with that and still keep that in the DPW budget?
I would personally prefer to wait, but that's my personal preference.
Is that a motion?
No.
What are we waiting for?
I think there was some discussion about whether the scope of it merely pertained to these. I think there was concern about, again, exactly whether it's coming out of the budget, whether that should be a capital item. I think those are the issues.
Okay.
Is there a motion to move forward, a motion to table, or are we moving on? Seeing no action, we'll move on. On to B, waiver to exceed the 1,320 foot in length cul-de-sac per section 12.8.3. Is there a motion to exceed the 1,320 foot limit?
For what?
I'm sorry, for the cul-de-sac at my apologies. For the cul-de-sac at Green Lane, at the west end of Green Lane.
Let's give some background. It's my understanding we've never actually voted on this. This is correct?
Yes,
Town board.
that's correct.
And this is what you called me, I believe, in the work session or a closed
Right.
meeting.
Yeah. It was a special session. We were in closed session last Thursday.
You called me for guidance, and I indicated to you that in order to resolve the matter, it needed to be placed on an agenda.
Right.
And that's why it's on the agenda, is so to follow through with whether or not the majority of the board was of a mind to waive the cul-de-sac length as asked for, if I say it for lack of better words, by the county in order to, as part of the plan for the bypass. I don't want to put words in.
Not necessarily. Our ordinance reflects that we need to have, that there is a process to exceed the limit of 1,320 feet in length of a cul-de-sac. That is by both the town board and the plan commission. It has to be approved by both. And that waiver is the first thing that we would need to proceed.
And if the waiver is not granted, it changes the options, is what we're basically talking about.
It ends the ability to put a cul-de-sac there, yes.
Okay. I mean, I just want to lay on the table what this is, what my understanding, what this is all about, and everybody knows what it's all about. So,
Well, that's probably a good question, since the agenda item is a waiver to exceed the 1,320 feet length cul-de-sac for section 12.8.3. So is the agenda item to make a decision whether we're just gonna, in general, forever forward, waive that?
No, this is specific to Green Lane. Counselor, is that specific enough or not specific enough?
I raised that question and I misread it. I thought that was the section of the town that Green Lane was in, not the code section that was being proffered. And if it were the code section that section 12,
No,
of
section 12.8.3 is the section that speaks
Of
of
the
the
code.
limitation of
then it's not
1,320.
specific.
Okay.
And it's too controversial an issue. The court has looked to whether or not people would actually be following this issue or not following this issue, and this issue is being followed. So I apologize. I didn't, realize it wasn't, I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't pick up on the fact that that was the section of the code and not the section of the town.
Fair enough, then we can move on. We can't take action on it. We'll move on to C. A motion to reconsider the action for the connection of Green Lane to the bypass, which is specific. Is there a motion to reconsider? Are we going to take any actions tonight?
Just for point of clarification, I can't make that motion because I voted in the minority, I think it was on the 28th of May of last year. So I cannot make the motion.
Madam Clerk, can you pull up the minutes to find out who was in the majority?
Unless somebody has a question, the majority was myself, Supervisor Wolves, and Supervisor Radke, and you were absent. Supervisor Fisher was chairing the session.
Okay. So,
I'm not sure that's true.
Well, then let's go get the minutes. Well, get the minutes.
from the minutes of May 28th, 2015, Supervisor Durr moved to recommend alternative C with cul-de-sacing at the west end of Green Lane and with direct connection to the bypass, seconded by Supervisor Rake, who I'll assume is Mr. Radke. Motion carried. Supervisor Fisher was an A.
So were you present at that meeting?
Supervisor Fisher was chairing the meeting, is that right?
Let me verify that, please. Roll call. Jim Radke, Larry Wolf, Mike Dorr, Brian Fisher, Clerk Treasurer Kathy Nicholas. Not present was Chairman Merrick. Back to C, reconsider action for the Green Lane, reconnection of Green Lane to the bypass. There are 3 people here that can make that motion.
I guess the question that we just briefly mentioned is, if we can't do B, does it pay to do C and or D? Don't they kind of go together?
Yes and no. The cul-de-sac, no, I think those are mutually exclusive issues.
Then I'll make a motion, we reconsider the action for connection of Green Lane to the bypass.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote, please.
We're gonna have some discussion. Because I think we have an issue with the reconsideration, because as I understand section 2316 for the reconsideration of questions in our ordinance, it reads, it shall be in order for any member, if in the majority, to move to reconsideration of any vote in question at the same meeting or at the next succeeding meeting, regularly adjourned meeting. A motion to reconsider being put and lost shall not be reviewed. So as I understand that language, it says that questions can only be reconsidered at the same meeting or the next meeting.
And in all due respect, that makes absolutely no sense in the law. That would mean once you make a decision, you never could change a decision. And that's not true. You change ordinances all the time without doing a motion to reconsider. So because of the sensitivity of this matter, it was put on as a 2-step process. 1 was the reconsideration, and 2 was then to take action to make sure that people really wanted to take it up. But if you took that logic that you could never reconsider, you could never re-vote on anything or reconsider anything except for at that meeting or at the next meeting, you could never amend an ordinance.
I understand.
Yeah. So you could say, well, we don't even need this. We can just bring it up. But I think in fairness to the public, I think a court would defend you to say you did a better practice by reconsidering it and then making a new decision. So I am extremely comfortable with allowing for a reconsideration, because if the reconsideration fails, then the motion stands for the most part. I mean, but somebody could still make a motion at any time. I personally believe, and there's nothing in the law, that for municipalities, a motion to reconsideration makes no sense whatsoever. I just don't know why anybody can't put anything on the next agenda that they wanted to have because I want to change the ordinance. I think we did chickens wrong. I've heard that discussion. So I'm comfortable that if sued, the court would say you can follow this procedure. It's on your agenda. The public would know that you're going to talk about this topic and you are going to reconsider. I understand what the rule says, but I don't feel that we're violating that rule.
I can't argue the law with an attorney. I'm just reading the ordinance.
No, and I understand the ordinance, and I just we've got to add some common sense and practicality to some of these rules, especially when it comes to parliamentary procedure.
Anything further before we vote? All in favor?
Roll call, please.
Roll call vote, yes, thank you. I was absent.
I think you can vote to reconsider. It's a new motion. It's a new matter.
Madam Clerk. roll call vote,
Supervisor
please.
Durr?
Now I have a question. How is it a new matter or a new motion when we're reconsidering an existing motion?
Because he's here for the discussion. He had a right to vote if he'd been here. Why wouldn't he have a right to vote on the motion to reconsider? I don't know of anything in either parliamentary procedure or any other law that says that if you're present at the discussion and that you can't participate, that you would be stopped from participating.
The previous discussion on the reconsideration of the question, pretty much you indicated that we didn't need to follow the ordinance because it wasn't logical. Well, it's not logical to me that somebody who didn't vote on it the first time would vote on it the second time, so I thought I'd ask the question.
Understood. I don't even know that this agenda item is even needed. You could just take it up. But I think in fairness to the public, that's why I'm recommending that we take the two-step process.
Anything further? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Dur,
Opposed?
Supervisor Fisher,
Aye.
Supervisor Merrick,
Aye.
oh, I'm sorry, Chairman Merrick, Supervisor Radke,
Aye.
Supervisor Wolf.
Motion carries. On to D, alternative actions of the Green Lane and West Waukesha bypass. We have had discussions about this for quite some time with the county and connecting to Green Lane, not connecting to Green Lane, cul-de-sacing the end of Green Lane, alternative positions of where Green Lane could go or a connection could go. It was talked about moving it further to the north, offsetting it, who's paying for it. The county has pretty much dug in their heels and said that they are not going to go past a 50% expenditure of Green Lane, of the cul-de-sac for Green Lane. And so we're here to talk about tonight whether or not we're going to connect to Green Lane to the bypass in any way, shape, or form. Hopefully make a decision. Is there a motion? I will make a motion that we do not, that we inform not connect Green Lane to the Waukesha West bypass. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
It does talk about alternative action, so if we don't connect Green Lane, are we offering alternatives? Is that part of this?
Give me an example of an alternative. Give us an example.
Merely asking. It says alternative actions on Green Lane and West Waukesha bypass. It's just not going to occur. That may be the alternative.
I think,
I'm just asking the question.
I think that's the alternative that we're here to talk about. Supervisor Dur, I think you were about to speak, or was it Fisher? There's no further discussion.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Dur,
Opposed?
Supervisor Fisher,
Aye.
Supervisor, Chairman Merrick,
Aye.
Supervisor Radke,
Aye.
Supervisor Wolf.
Motion carries. On to 9, accounts payable. Madam Clerk, is that buried here? And no recruit, no key. Motion to pay the bills in the amount of $22,777.96.
So moved.
In a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 10.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Kathy, when you get a protest petition, do you